everyone, it's Jason back at it again, and today is Tutorial Tuesday. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to shoot manual on any camera, from your phone to your DSLR, whatever it is. You can take these tips and learn how to shoot better photos. Take a look. So before you even pick up a camera, you want to know these four basic things. That's the white balance, shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. If you can understand these four things, you can take way better pictures with any camera. So the first thing I'm going to try and explain is the white balance. The white balance determines how warm or cool your picture is. Whether it's more orange or more blue, then your white balance is probably off. Now, white balance is measured in units called Kelvin, or K for short, and the number is usually in the thousands. So you'll find on most cameras that there's presets for the white balance, whether it's cloudy, sunny, tungsten light, which is the orange light, fluorescent light, which is the white light, or a couple other options. And sometimes you can even set it manually by the Kelvin number. Do that if you can, because your lighting is going to change in every situation, especially if there's more than one type of lighting, one color of lighting. Then you're going to want to set it manually to get the best color for your picture. So you want to adjust the Kelvin number. If you can, set it manually based on the environment you're in to get your whites looking white and everything else falling in place. So that's about it for the white balance, and if you have any questions throughout the video, just leave a comment below. I'll try to respond, or go to my Instagram at therealjason.tv and send me a message. Okay, so next is the shutter speed. The shutter speed is usually represented by a fraction unless you get into long exposure, but we won't go there today. So basically, a high shutter speed would be like 1/500, 1/1000, even 1/250 is pretty decent, and a low shutter speed would be 1/30, 1/20, 1/50, something like that. So your shutter speed is basically the length of time the shutter of the camera is going to be open. It's like when people refer to a camera like an eye, the shutter speed is the speed that the eye blinks. So if your subject is something that's moving fast, you're going to want to shoot with a faster shutter speed, like people playing sports or cars racing or something like that. You're going to want to shoot like 1/500 to capture it so it looks still without any motion blur. On the other hand, if you have a slower moving subject, then you can take the shutter speed down and shoot it maybe at 1/50 or 1/30. Now you're probably asking yourself, why don't I just always use a fast shutter speed and then everything will be clear? That's true, but with everything there's give and take. With the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, you always have to adjust depending on your situation. So if you have a fast shutter speed, it's going to blink faster and let less light in, so you're going to have a darker picture. If you have a slower shutter speed, it allows more light in, making your picture brighter. So if you're in a low light situation, you're probably not going to be using a fast shutter speed unless you adjust one of the other two options, the aperture or ISO. Which brings me to the aperture, also known as the f-stop, and that's represented by the F and the number beside it on your camera. Now with the f-stop or aperture, that's also going to adjust how much light is let into the camera. If you have a low f-stop like 3.5, the camera's more open, the aperture's more open, and you let more light into the camera. If it's higher like 16 or 22, then the camera's more closed and you let less light into the camera. So when adjusting the f-stop, you also have to take note of what you want in focus in the picture. So if you're in a situation like I am right now, where I'm close to the camera and you use a low f-stop, then you're going to blur out the background a bit more. If you want to have the background in focus as well, then you're going to shoot with a higher f-stop. Something also to consider when you're adjusting your f-stop or aperture is the lens that you're using. If it's a zoom lens like most kit lenses are, then your aperture is going to change when you zoom. Meaning to say, the lowest possible f-stop is available when you're not zoomed in all the way. If you zoom in all the way, then the lowest possible f-stop in that situation is going to be a bit higher. Now if you're looking for a new lens with a low f-stop, you're going to go with a prime lens. Prime lenses are fixed focal length lenses, and they typically have a lower f-stop because they don't zoom in at all. But if you want a lens that zooms in a lot, then you're going to have to get used to using a higher f-stop. Like I said, there's give and take with the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. You're going to have to adjust them depending on your situation to get the best picture. So this brings me to my last point, the ISO. With the high ISO, the picture will be brighter. With the low ISO, the picture will be darker. Now there's give and take with this as well. With the high ISO, there's going to be more grain, more color noise in the picture, making it not look as nice. With the lower ISO, there's less grain, less color noise, making the picture look nicer. So in all situations, if possible, shoot with a lower ISO. But if you have to shoot with a higher ISO, like in a low light situation, don't be afraid to do that as well. So that's how you take pictures in manual mode. Now when it comes to video, a couple of the things change, but the general concept is still the same. I'll do another tutorial showing you how to film in manual mode as time goes on. That's all for now. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or want to say something, and subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos. Thanks everyone. See you next time.